Hello and welcome to this lecture where we'll go into strings and working with text in DB. In the previous lecture, we have gone through the concepts and now we're ready for the coding part. And here we'll use a very uncleaned glossary CSV file, which you can look into here. As you can see, there's a lot of spaces in different places. There are a lot of characters that have been uppercase and lowercase, etc. It's really messy. Who have done this mess? But it's time to clean it up using string functions in DuckDB. We will start with ingesting this into our DuckDB database, and then afterwards we will use different type of string functions to clean it and also show slicing, some pattern matching, etc. That will be very interesting. Let's move on to Visual Studio Code. If you want this same dataset, you should take it from my repository, which I will link in the description. Let's move on to Visual Studio Code. Here I am in Visual Studio Code, and you can see this dataset, this SQL terms.csv, and you can see, there's a lot of spaces here, and here's capital letters, here's lowercase with capital, here's capital, etc. This is really messy data, and you can see there's a lot of spaces here, etc. Let's ingest this one. And how to do that? We need to make the SQL folder, and then touch SQL. I will actually go in CD SQL. Yes, I will touch all my scripts at once. Touch, ingest glossary.sql, clean glossary.sql, and then I will show you some other string functions and methods. We will do pattern matching.sql. We will have string functions or text functions.sql, and then we'll have slicing.sql. You can see there's a lot, and I can see here there's a lot of scripts now. Let's move directly to ingest glossary here. We will actually divide it into schemas now. If you've seen the concepts part of the strings, we will create the schema here. Schema, if not, exists. Staging, this staging schema, this is the landing zone of the data. Here we will put in the data from the raw data, and then we will have a refine layer where we'll do the transformation of the data. Create table, if not exist. This is the landing zone. We go into staging schema let's see what it's called. SQL_glossary as select star from read CSV photo data /SQL terms.csv. This is a good starting point. Let's see. Yeah. Now we can see that we create this table inside of staging called SQL glossary as this select statement. It means that we will get the data into our DuckDB database. But we need to do input redirection for that. I will do cd ... to jump out, and then I will do DuckDB. And let's see what this should be called. I will call it like string.duckdb or a glossary.duckdb. Yeah, I call it glossary. Or strings, that was nice. Strings.duckdb. And input redirection, I will go into SQL. I will go into ingest glossary. Good. And now there's a strings.duckdb, the duckdb-ui strings.duckdb. Let us start with string functions, text functions. I'm in DuckDB documentations, and here you can see text functions, and here there are a lot of functions here. This is very comprehensive. Just find the ones that you like and which works for your particular case. I will go back to the local UI, which I opened up here. And let's go into string functions or text functions. We will see if we start with here, I can do from staging, because if I do SQL glossary, you can see that it won't work because it goes into main by default. Do you mean staging.SQL glossary? Yes, I do mean that. Staging.SQL glossary. And you can see that it looks really strange. Here there's a lot of strange things. Let's just do, for example, I want to trim SQL. I want to remove leading and trailing spaces. Remove leading and trailing spaces. For doing that, we can do select, trim, SQL. We have SQL Word. What do I want to trim? I want to trim his space. Trimmed Word. And then I will have, let's start with that. From staging.SQL glossary. Copy this one and new cell here. Run it, and you can see what happens. We have trimmed all the spaces before and after. Now we can I can continue here, and for example, I can use this trimmed word, and I can pick out, for example, the first character here as first character. And I can copy this one, trimmed word of -1 as last character. You can see first and last character. Yes, why do you want to do that? I'm not sure, but we can do that. Note that we have done this function, this trim function to the SQL word, and we have given it an alias. And after we're giving it an alias, we can use this column to pick out using the indexing, the bracket operator, use it as indexing to get the characters we want. We can also do slicing. I'll show you slicing later on. Here we can continue. We can transform character to uppercase. Let me just copy this one again, and I will do into upper here. I can do, I can just copy this whole thing. Yes. I want to transform character to uppercase. And here I'll do upper. You can see now we're nesting the functions. If I open a new cell here and run it, you can see now we have uppercase of all the trimmed words. It's called trimmed word now, but I could call it upper word, for example, or I can just call it SQL word. That also works. SQL word or SQL. Copy this one, paste it here. Let's see, because I used here trimmed word. I need to have SQL term. Because I used SQL term there, SQL term, and now it should work. Yeah, exactly. Yes. We'll transform the character to uppercase from staging.SQL glossary. We can see the description here. There is like a lot of spaces here. This is more than 2 spaces. Here is more than 2 spaces, etc. And there's a irregular number of spaces, but let us try to remove this. We'll try to replace 2 or more spaces with 1 space. Select description, comma, replace description, comma, 2 space with 1 space as cleaned description from staging.sql glossary. Let's see, I think there might be some issue. Parse error, unexpected one at first. As first character. Yeah, actually, like this formatter doesn't understand DuckDB syntax. This is DuckDB syntax and not in other SQL dialects. But it works. I copy this one. I'll put it here, and you can see now the spaces have become somewhat cleaned, but here there's still some issues. We didn't do 2 or more spaces. We replaced 2 spaces with 1 space. We will show you later on how you can clean this using regular expression. But now I will keep it as this is. We'll have regex and pattern matching in another script. Let us try also to concatenate strings. And to do concatenation, you have select, concat, or actually let me copy. I can copy this one here, and I will remove these. We have trim, and we will use upper on the trim as well. Let's see, upper with the trim as SQL command, and I will use like this. I will do concat, comma, command, like this. This means that I have, if you look into here, let's see, there's an error because there's command needs to have a ending parenthesis here. Ending parenthesis there. Yeah, it works. And you can see there is a command word after each of these words. Not entirely correct, but we have command afterward with a space here because we concatenate the first column, the first word with the second one using the concat. Similarly, we can do that, but instead of concat, we use, let's see here, 2 vertical bars. And you can see it works the same because 2 vertical bars means concat in DuckDB. That is quite cool. We can do a comment here, concatenate strings with vertical bars. We can also extract substrings. Let's see. I'll copy this one, the first one, paste it here. Now clean this too. We have trim SQL word. I want to do a substring now. Extract substring. Actually, I will remove this one, trim it here. Let's see what we get here first. Run it. And you can see, yeah, it has trimmed. Because it will trim by a space by default anyway. Now we will extract some substring from this. I will actually keep this one so that you can see the original one. And here I will do substrings 1,5 as extracted like first 5 characters. A scalar function with substrings does not exist. Yeah, it's not substrings. Substring like this. Yes, exactly. You can see we get the first 5 characters. 1 to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if there's 4, then we'll get 4 and a space. Or we'll get all the 4. Yeah, this is quite nice. Substring. And we'll show you with the slicing operator also. You can, for example, you can do like this. I will copy this one, and now we use it with the slicing. Here we have, let's see, can use trim word directly. Trim the word, now slice 1 to 5 as slice 5 cars. Copy this one. And it works equally, as you can see. Cool. We can also reverse characters. Let me copy this one. And I will remove these two here. Yeah, trim is good. Let's see, we can do reverse on this one. Reverse. Reversed word. Here we reverse. Copy this one. Yeah, and you can see this is reversed. We can actually do, if you read this backwards, select. Here's from more. Cool. Let's try another thing. Let's try to find position of first occurrence of a substring and return 0 if substring is not found. Let's take a look into an example here to find the first occurrence of a substring. We get the description, and then we do in string. This stands for in string, in str, description, comma, select. And here we want to see if the substring select is in this string. And we find out the position of it. And then when you have this position, you can check if it will give 0 if it's not found, and it will give one position that is not 0, because here 0 it's not found, and then here the select is in the 12th position here, or the index 12. That means that we can do a condition here and say that select position not equals 0. That means that if select exists or not, it will give true if it exists, otherwise it's false. This is a simple check to see that we have select inside of this description. And now I will go into, I have showed concatenation before, but since I have this in my notes, I will have this here as well. Fun joke. And you can, when you do select without a from clause, you can get the data directly. You can select just the string and then concatenate with another string. That works to get some simple answers directly. Like you can have a string and you can see concatenate the string. Fun joke. Cool. Let's move on now to slicing. Yes. I've shown some slicing already. We can do select word and then word of 0 is word of 1, word of -1, for example, from staging.glossary. Now I will just clean this up because my auto formatting doesn't work with B syntax, which doesn't exist in other dialects. Copy this one, and here let's go in and run this one, and you can see here that we have some empty spaces. Here is the SQL word, and we get empty space here, the last character empty space. And you can see first SQL 0, SQL word 0, we get nothing because we start counting from 1. This is basically indexing. We have a word of -1, we get the last character here, which is capital E, and for this one. And we can also do, I will copy this one, and we will have SQL word, and I will do some slicing, :2, for example. And we can do :2:5. Copy this one. This is some slicing. And as you can see here, this gives us to 1 and 2. Group by, we get GR. Order by, we get OR. And then we have 2 to 5. It's inclusive 2, and then it's inclusive 5 as well. Both are inclusive. It's a little bit different from Python slicing, but still the syntax is quite similar. Can we do for fun? :-1, just to check. No, it doesn't work. But in Python, :-1, you will reverse the string. Instead, we have the reverse function here. Remember that. We have done slicing, and now it's time for doing some pattern matching. Pattern matching is quite interesting. Let's do pattern matching here. In pattern matching, we can use the like operator in where class. This one, the like operator used in class, is used to filter rows. But the like operator, it can be used with wildcards to search for a pattern. Like operator in where class, it will filter rows. And now we have like operator with wildcards to search for a pattern. I'll show you how that works. Let's do select from staging.sql glossary. And here we can use where clean. Let me see. Let's take an example, and then comma clean example, which is basically trim of example as clean example, and I will make it into lowercase as well. Let's start with this one. Copy this one, add new cell, run it here, and you can see, here we have example, and here is the cleaned example, which I removed using the trim to remove leading and trailing spaces. However, the middle spaces we haven't removed. Now let us continue. Where I want to search for, they say that I will keep this one, but now I will use this to search for selects. Here where cleaned example like select and then percentage. Look what will happen now. Now we'll find everything that will have select, and afterwards it will match whatever character. If I paste this in, you can see, we get only those with starting with select. If we want to find even those that start with other one but has select, we have a parenthesis before as well. If I run this one, actually it didn't come up here because we didn't have it, but if it had, then we will find it as well. Cool. And remember we did lower, so that everything becomes lowercase. Then you search for the select. If you don't do lower and you want to search, you can do I like, which means in insensitive case, you can still find it. I think it was called I like. Let's see, for example, we can use this wildcard now to represent wildcard. There's, for this one, actually we have, this is the wildcard, like percentage, which matches 0 or more. This percentage matches 0 or more characters, but we can have other wildcards. For example, wildcard underscore. This represents one character. I can, for example, copy this one, and instead of using, I will change a little bit, and I will do it like this. S underscore LECT, and I will remove the lower here as well. I'll remove this comment here. Copy this one, paste it in here, and you can see we only get those that is there's a character that is in here. S, whatever character, which we see we match both lowercase and uppercase. It could be, for example, A instead of E. It could be whatever character, but it matches it here with this underscore. That is quite cool. Let's go on with more pattern matching now. We will go on with pattern matching with regex, regular expression. So to do this one, I will write a new select lower trim of description as cleaned description from staging.sql glossary, where here we use regexp matches, and we do clean description, and we match this special character here. Caret C. This will filter rows starting with C. And we have made it into lowercase. We can copy this one, paste it in here and run it. And here everything starts with C. And we can do similarly. I will copy this one. And now we will start with C or S. And now I will have uppercase C, S. And then I will remove this lower here. And copy this one, paste it here, and you can see both C and S is matched, but the uppercase ones. Cool. And let's try to have, I'll use another one now. Let's see. I will copy this one. Now I will have, the one before was starting with C or F. Here is, we use \B, and what it does is that it makes it match exactly select word. For example, it doesn't match, doesn't match select. It match exactly the select word if we choose select. What I mean here is that here I will do the match of select \B. We have regex matches, clean description, select \B. And instead of trim here, I will have lower description as clean description. Yeah. Yes. Copy this one, paste it in here and run this one. And you can see we find exactly select there, select. And all other, it doesn't find. How about do we want to match a range of characters? Maybe we want to match A to F. This matches range of characters. And if we do with caret here, it means that it matches range of characters. And it matches like starting with characters A to F. This caret means like that. Let's copy, let me see, lower trim. Yeah, I'll copy this one here. Well, lower trim description as clean description, everything's same. And here I will start with A to F. I will only have those. Copy this one, add cell, paste it in, and you can see here it has F, C, A, C, F, C, C. There's nothing more. There's between, all of them are between A and F. Great. And also we can use the not. I will copy this here and show you that. When we do it like this, we have a caret here. It means it matches any character not in the range of A to F. Matches any character not in range A to F. And similarly, if I have a caret on the A here, we have matches means it's like starting with characters not in range A to F. If I just add a caret here, you can see what this will mean. If I add this one, paste this one in, and you can see, all of these characters here, and they start with not A to F. This means like that when you have the caret inside of, when you have this range here, and you have caret inside of the first character there. Yes, there's a lot when it comes to regular expression. Let's continue. We will use regex replace. This is quite interesting. We'll do select description, comma, regex not matches. Now I won't do matches. I will do replace description, comma, we have one space. Plus means many spaces, one or more spaces, they shall match with only one space as cleaned. Clean description from staging.sql glossary. The new cell here, I paste this one in and I run it, and you can see, why doesn't it work here? That is because this will only work on the first occurrence. So instead, we need to have the G flag to make it into global. If I paste this in, now you can see all the spaces in between here have changed to one space. If you also do, instead of just description, we have trim of description to remove the leading and trailing. Now you can see how that looks like. Better. Now it seems very cleaned. Super nice. Yes, now we will go into actually making some of this cleaning and create another table inside of the refine layer. I'll show you that now. Now it's time to do some cleaning. We'll go into clean glossary. Here we will do basically transformations. Let's create a new schema first. Schema, if not exists, refined. And in this refined schema, you have two different layers when we're talking about data warehouse. You talk about the staging layer as the first one, and then you have a refined layer or a warehouse layer, and then you have a marts layer, which is served to the downstream consumers of your data. However, now we're in the refined layer. We do some transformations based on all the exploratory data analysis and all the test cleaning we did before. I will make it very simple now, and there's much more cleaning, but I will leave that for the reader to do because I don't want to take away all the fun for you. Create table if not exists. Dot as glossary as select. You should probably do the select first, but here I'll do upper trim of SQL Word as SQL Word, and the description I will leave it as it is. You can maybe trim it, and you could do the regex as well. Regex, replace, trim description, comma, and let's see, plus, comma, this space, and then G here, and then parentheses as description, example from staging.sql glossary. First, I will do the select statement here because I want to make sure that, let's see, yes, I can do shift tab. I want to run this one to make sure that I get what I want. This one is basically cleaned. and this one is not clean. I will leave that the example for you to clean. This I have cleaned, and I'm satisfied with this cleaning. I will copy this and create a table out of it. Create table, run this one. Let's see. Schema, yeah, I need to have the schema as well. Now I have created this one. Now I can do, for example, this, and you can see, yes, I have in strings, I have this refine layer from refine.SQL glossary, and you can see, yes, this is the clean data. Cool. Make sure that you shut down the DuckDB session, and then you will see that you might have a .val file left, and you just do DuckDB and like the normal DuckDB and your, let's see, SQL strings.duckdb, and then you do Control D again or Control C. If you're on Windows, this will make sure that the .val file disappears and your data is intact. And now make sure that you commit and push to your GitHub repository, that you have your files saved and version controlled. I hope that you learned a lot in this video. We have gone through strings, we have gone through different string functions, we have tried to clean this very messy SQL terms.csv. And then when we have cleaned it, we created a new schema for it, a refine layer where we put it in. And we tried out several string functions or text functions, and we also tried out slicing and indexing, and we also tried out pattern matching and regular expression. These were a handful of different things, and I hope that you have learned a lot in this video. At least I think it was really fun to record it. See you in the next one. Bye.